Hello and welcome back to Matte's Tottenham blog and to another Premier League match preview. Today I'm going to be talking about the important stats, predictions and much more ahead of tomorrow's Premier League game against Southampton. Now before I get started, if you are new to the channel, I do various match previews, reviews, interactive live streams and breaking news videos. So if you want more of that content, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and click the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload. So before I get into my predictions and the important stats, just a quick recap on the team news that we heard yesterday from both Tottenham and Southampton. Tottenham will be without two players for this game tomorrow. The first one is Giovanni Lo Celso. Now we know he will be out for at least another month after he picked up a hip injury playing for Argentina in a friendly against Chile in the most recent international break. And Ryan Sessegnon, who we signed from Fulham on deadline day with a hamstring injury, he suffered a minor relapse for that injury last week ahead of the game against Olympiacos. So he is out for another couple of weeks and he will of course be unavailable for the game tomorrow. Southampton's only injury worry at the moment is Moussa Djenepo. Aside from that, both teams are at full strength and it's obviously good news for both teams. They do have the majority of their players available for this one, so expect a great game of football. Now having said that, it is kind of hard to predict what's going to happen in this game. On paper, Tottenham should absolutely win this game without any worries, any doubts whatsoever. But with the form that we're on, it's kind of hard to be overly confident going into this game. But in the same way, I do think it is difficult to see us not winning this game. And it's just the way it is to be a Tottenham fan at the moment. It's so hard to predict what's going to happen. And we could go out and play like we did against Crystal Palace and we could kill them off in the first half, or we could end up playing like we did against Colchester, against Olympiacos, and really struggle to get anything out of the game. So it's really hard to predict. But before I do get into my predictions, I'm just going to run through a few of the important stats ahead of this game. And there are a few encouraging ones for us. We have an exceptional home record against Southampton in the Premier League. We've played them 8 times at home and we've won 7 of them. So a really good record. Some of the big ones you might remember when Harry Kane broke the record for most Premier League goals in a calendar year. He actually scored a hat-trick against Southampton in our last home game of the season. But the one that we did lose was in 2016 when of course Leicester won the Premier League. We had that little capitulation towards the end of the season and Southampton beat us at White Hart Lane. I remember Stephen Davis scored twice in that game. Now Southampton are looking to win consecutive Premier League games against Tottenham for the first time since 2004. So of course they beat us at St Mary's towards the end of last season during that awful away run that I suppose we are still on. And they beat us 3 times in a row between January 03 and March 04. So it's been quite a while since they had this sort of run against us, and you kind of hope that we can prevent that from happening again. Now Tottenham versus Southampton will become only the second Premier League fixture to be played in 5 different stadiums. So I think it's a really interesting stat. Of course, we played them at White Hart Lane and at Wembley Stadium, and now going into the first game against them at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But Southampton have actually also had 2 stadiums in the Premier League era. St Mary's is their current stadium and the Dell before that. So it's only the second fixture to be played in 5 different stadiums. And it's actually also saying here the Boleyn Ground is, or after Tottenham versus West Ham, so we played them Wembley, White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Stadium, and then Boleyn Ground and the London Stadium. So entering the 2 fixtures with that amount are actually both Spurs fixtures. Now Tottenham have lost 10 of our 24 Premier League games so far this calendar year, which is the most we've in a single calendar year in the competition since 2014, which is really worrying. I mean, we're in this period of the club where we are going forward, and we have been going forward for about 5 years now, but it feels like we've stopped in our progress. I don't think we're going backwards at the moment, but we've really hit a wall. And it's down to Pochettino and the players now to try and turn this around and try and break through that wall and step forward. But it's stats like this that really show we're in a really difficult period at the moment. And I mean, losing 10 games in a calendar year, lost almost half of our games, that's relegation form. And it's a very worrying thing at the moment. But thankfully 3 of our next 4 games are at home. So hopefully we can pick up a bit of momentum soon. But it's hard to predict, as I said, what's going to happen. And then the final one is Southampton are looking to win 3 consecutive away top flight games for the first time since February 2015. Now, Southampton have been really poor at home so far this season, but they've won in all competitions their last 4 games away from home, all with a clean sheet. The latest one in the Carabao Cup during the week. So they're on really good away form, and even though they haven't played any of the top 6 sides in this period, it's certainly a worrying thing to see a team that will be coming with an amazing amount of confidence because of their away form, but also our general form as well. They'll know that we're a team that are there for the taking, and that if they do turn up and if they do play well and they stop us from playing as teams like Colchester and Olympiacos have been able to, there'll certainly be something in this game for them. And straight away, like from the kickoff, Southampton will be up for this game a lot more than us. And like reading a few of the things that have been said in the press this week by the players, I mean, Mauricio Pochettino saying that the criticism the club have been getting is entirely justified. And while you would agree with him, it's quite worrying that the manager is coming out and saying that. And Harry Kane talking about, the way we're making the same mistakes that we made in the first year Pochettino was there, and we can't use the young inexperienced excuse anymore. And both of them have referenced an unsettled squad this week. So it seems like a really, really important moment for the club. This game against Southampton tomorrow, of course Bayern Munich then on Tuesday. If we can get a bit of momentum going now, all of a sudden this period will be forgotten about. Because I even remember towards the start of last season, people were saying we were going through a really tough period. We lost to Watford, Liverpool and Inter Milan in the space of 10 days or something, and people were saying, it's the end for Tottenham, it's the end for Pochettino, everything's falling apart. But look at what we did that last season. We made it into the Champions League. And I know last season was probably a bit kind of hyped up more than it should have been because we didn't sign any players in the summer. And this one is purely down to form on the pitch. But, there's such a fine line between, a team that is happy with Pochettino and a team that, is performing the way it is at the moment. Because if you think about it, that game against Leicester, if that Aurier goal had been allowed as it should have been, we would be in the top 3 right now. And there's just such a fine line between the two very different sort of kind of ends of the spectrum at the moment. And unfortunately it seems as though when Tottenham fall closer towards the other one, the fan base, they absolutely go mad. There's people calling for Poch to be sacked, Levy out, Lewis out. And unfortunately it does seem as though everything is overhyped, it's over exaggerated when Tottenham are in a situation like this. And we need a reaction tomorrow. We absolutely do need a reaction, and it's going to be very interesting to see the team that Pochettino picks, because I think he will be aware that he has made some errors in his team choices lately, and even the subs that he's made, his decision making and stuff hasn't been as good as it has been in the past, and I'm sure he'll be aware of that. But the onus is more so on the players at the moment, because we know Pochettino is an exceptional manager, and we know, as he has said, he is the man to take this club forward. And if he wasn't, we would have found that out by now. But he is the man to take this club forward, and it doesn't look as though the players are playing for him at the moment. And that is without a doubt down to the unsettled squad that both he and Kane referenced. But we need a response from the players this weekend, even if it's a scrappy, sloppy performance. But you can see every single one of them are giving 100%, and we can grind out a victory, no matter how poor, I suppose, the quality of play is. If we can see that every player out in that pitch is giving absolutely everything to get a result in this game, that's all we're asking for. Like, we're not asking for all of a sudden to go back out and play that football that we were playing at White Hart Lane in that last season. It's not like, we're not demanding too much here. We just want to see the players go out in the pitch like they did in the first couple of years of Pochettino's tenure, giving absolutely everything to win every single ball. And you just can't say they've been like that lately, especially looking at players like Eriksen and Ali, who in the last week or two have been probably the worst form they've ever shown in a Tottenham jersey. Christian Eriksen, that penalty against Colchester, it wasn't the best penalty in the world, and he may have been a bit unlucky to have had it saved, but he's missed his last 4 penalties he's taken for us. I think 2 in pre-season and 2 this season, or something like that. And it's worrying that we're seeing these players who just don't seem to be playing for the badge anymore. And I think with Eriksen, you can put it down to his desire to move away from the club, and a bit of frustration that he didn't get that move in the summer. But like with Jan Vertonghen, he said towards the end of the summer, he wants to stay at this club, and he doesn't feel as though signing a new contract is important, because in his head he knows his future is at this club. Toby Alderweireld, I think we know he will be leaving soon, but he even said he's looking forward to his season here, and he's kind of devoted to the club. And it just doesn't seem as though they are once they get out on the pitch. And like it's the players like Harry Winks that you can see give absolutely everything. Harry Winks, Eric Lamela, Danny Rose to some extent, when they are out on that pitch, they know everything outside of the pitch, the dealings with the clubs, the contract negotiations, the transfers that have fallen through. That stuff doesn't matter once they're out in the pitch, and you can see with them, and I suppose their performances this season, that once they get in the pitch, 100% it's what they're focused on. And I've seen Harry Winks getting a lot of criticism this season, and last season as well. I know he didn't start the season in the best vein of form, but he's been our best player this season without doubt, and Eric Lamela a close second. And it's unfortunate that it's the players that are given absolutely everything that are getting most of the stick, because I don't even know how to justify it. But like, if Harry Winks is the player that we brought in for the price of maybe Ndombele or Sissoko or Lo Celso, people would be a lot more kind of inclined to encourage him and compliment him. But I don't know what it is about these players coming through that people just seem to be straight on top of them, blaming them for the things that are going wrong. And Harry Winks certainly isn't a player that deserves it. And I do think he will be starting the game tomorrow. And I linked my video from yesterday, my team news and predicted lineup video, if you want to go and watch that after this one. But I feel as though a strong team out tomorrow with a lot of pace, a lot of power in the middle of the park. And if we just try, it's all we're asking for, because we haven't seen that recently. We've seen lacklustre performances that have just been they've been very lazy and kind of relaxed and laid back from players who just don't seem to want to be at the club, don't seem to want to play for the manager. And I think if we can change that tomorrow, we will get a result. And if we don't get a result tomorrow, the fan base meltdown that's already going on will only multiply, and the club will be in a much more sticky position than we're in right now. But look, I think we will see a reaction, and I'm going to go for a victory tomorrow. I'm going to go for maybe a 2-1 victory. Even if it is a sloppy, scrappy victory, we just grind out. As I said, I don't care. I just want 3 points in the board tomorrow and try and get back to some bit of winning form. Don't forget to leave your predictions for the game tomorrow down in the comments down below. Put in your predicted goal scorers, absolutely everything, and I'll be going through as many of the comments as I can. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.